interesting that I like that for MKLeo Saga, it was kind of symbolically pleasing to see the return of the Meta Knight. With the prominence of which he came into the community in the first place, or rather of which he became well known in the community with those old sets against like all the top sheiks especially. And of course Tweek going Donkey Kong because, well, grapplers have been the bane of existence for Leo for a while now. So it's not surprising that this would be the case. And the thumbnail even says that he went Donkey Kong the whole set, although I haven't seen this set yet, so it's going to be interesting to see what it actually ends up being like.
So that does not matter between... No, yeah, Meta Knight does win this matchup. This is the white game.
Nice.
This man came to play. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, we got those. We can actually
Alright. Notice how Tweek immediately starts the match by kind of camping the ledges a little bit. It's actually very hard for Meta Knight to gimp characters that have strong horizontal recoveries, which is good for DK, because even though his recovery isn't necessarily that strong, for a character with a pencil sword like Meta Knight, combined with the way he gimps people in general, he's not really going to be able to gimp Donkey Kong for the most part. Outside of, like, getting something truly crazy, Tweek is not going to die by getting gimped. So, that means that it's okay for Tweek to be off stage. With that in mind, how Tweek is mostly going to be playing the neutral game, it looks like in this matchup, he's going to focus on camping the ledges, because in order for Meta Knight to be able to successfully get his B combos that are going to kill you at, say, undesirable percents, if you will, he's going to need ground space so that he can run off and chase you with up airs. But if he can't run along with the up airs, at least at the beginning, then it's significantly harder for him to catch up to away DI, and then you'll be able to jump away and reset the situation. That's what... It's kind of similar to how Falcon combos get stifled sometimes as well, where if you're by the ledge for the most part, since I won't have that space I can chase you with aerials while also running, then I won't be able to get that much damage on you, and I'll just be forced to ledge trap instead. Or edge guard, but in this particular instance, there's little practicality in Leo doing this to Tweek, so he's probably just going to focus on ledge trapping and not have to worry about like getting randomly fared and dying at 40 or something.
Let's see. The key is keeping DK in the air. Yep. DK should have a lot of problems. Of course, he's going to be a big frame, which means he's very, very susceptible to a lot of these ladder combos here. Okay, very nice.
All right.
This looks like it's all good and dandy, but it's not good and dandy until it's over. DK is one of the heaviest characters in the game, so it will take more than an up B at that percent. But this percent.
And that's just, I actually can't remember what is the specific prerequisites for the up B hitboxes for Meta Knight splitting into two like that, but obviously everyone dies significantly earlier if you can get them to split like that. Regardless, Leo was able to get it when it counted, which resulted in this death. The liking limit, well, I'm clearly doing an analysis stream. This is pretty self-explanatory, honestly.
Do it! Okay. People getting a little too hyped. They're forgetting how DK is. 2 grabs. And Meta Knight is actually pretty light in this game. Yep. Oh. But he is playing. And again, this match has been actually pretty damn good for Meta Knight. I know he's had a problem in the past, but right now he looks like he's playing the matchup.
Leo is playing phenomenal right now.
It's looking like hell right now for Tweek. Not gonna KO with the up B.
Oh my goodness, he almost got that.
We cannot get on the ground.
He's getting the splitted hitboxes somehow. I don't...
Oh, gets the grab.
Oh.
That's one. He had to do the standing grab because the range is too high. We go.
Ding dong, ditch that stock.
3 grabs and it's over. 3 grabs. Are we going to be counting? Or will MKLeo have to grab? That's one. Uh-oh. Oh no. Leo, don't land the dare on him. That's 2.
Oh shit.
Second hit away. Uh-oh. We're going on. And that's gonna be it.
Well, that was a game. I wasn't expecting it to be that interesting for game 1. It looks like this is just an exceedingly violent matchup for both characters. Meta Knight's gonna die really early. And Donkey Kong's, well, Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong can kill you at almost any percent, if he especially if he has 9 punch. Like, some of the kill percents that you can get with 9 wind punch are actually pretty obscene. As an aside, what if MKLeo and Kitaro were actually roommates? That could be like a sitcom. The whole show could just be like Kitaro being Kitaro and trying to like taint MKLeo, but Leo seems really pure to me, especially because of all the cat stuff and things like that. Like, I can just imagine Kitaro just going about typical Kitaro shenanigans and trying to drag Leo in, and then Leo's just like, no, 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 and just trying to be a good kid the whole time. That seems like that could be a sitcom just by itself. Make it happen? Rush Hour Smash? Question mark? Imagine, like, Kitaro, like, trying to bring, like, Leo to, like, a Mexican club or something. Shout out to DK's boxing game. No, the reason he's throwing out so many hitboxes is the actual limbs on DK's, like, fists and legs are actually intangible, so... like, he just beats, basically, they're basically swords. It's slightly ridiculous because they're, like, huge, but they're good. They're really good. So he's just going to throw out a lot of hitboxes and try and do it in random intervals to make it hard for Leo to get a read on anything in particular, which forces Leo to try and approach both based on movement reads rather than attack-based reads. And if Tweek can get Leo to try and make him read his movement instead of his attack patterns, then he can specifically move in ways to bait approaches rather than doing it with attacks, because trying to trade DK's attacks with MKLeo's approaches is a generally negative situation. If Tweek ends up guessing right, if you will, through these exchanges where he's using boxing as a means of establishing space and trying to dissuade approaching, he gets like 10 damage. Big whoop. If Leo guesses right, Tweek is going to get comboed. Probably fairly hard. It's just not worth it for Tweek to try and play that game, except to represent that he's going to do something to force Leo to respect him. So that's why, notice how he's moving almost immediately out of all these things, rather than continuing to do them. He's hoping he can use, I think on some level, he's hoping he can use that to make it a little easier for him to control the way Leo is trying to read him. Because if Leo's only trying to read specific things of his rather than him as a whole, it makes it easier for him to catch on to mistakes and correct things in the future. Is that it? Nice. Shout out to Meta Knight's back air. That move is low-key kind of busted. That move is actually nuts. No Yoda Sensei. I think Mario's significantly better as a solo main. I think Mario's just a better character in general, but DK definitely has his niches, which makes him like a good counterpick character.
Maybe Meta Knight was the answer for DK all along, but he did not go it for the last 50 DKs he fought. But is this a KO? Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Grab that for 60%.
Shoutouts to Meta Knight being a feather.
Now this man is going to work. For one. I feel like another grab's coming. Don't land it for there. Yeah, don't land on me. Two.
Also, the liking lemon, you won't be missed, so that's okay. Hasta la vista. Don't worry about Mr. Dio. That person's a turd. And other than trying to mix up your DI knowledge, you generally want to do like down and away. You want to just try and go off stage and down and away because it's going to hit you like at that distance regardless. So you're just trying to make it to where you're just as close to the bottom of the screen as possible, because you don't really want to if you try and just DI straight down, since you're not resisting the angle effectively, you're just going to be knocked higher than you would be if you're doing down and away, or sometimes even just away. So it makes more sense to just do alright. Anyway, let's go back and continue.
And one more coming out from Tweek.
Goddamn. Oh, yeah, it is game time.
Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah. Actually broke out really fast. That's some Japanese mashing right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And through pivot grab again.
See you later. We are going into game 3.
This character is something else.
And the ding dong is really, really good. I actually don't mind DK at all. I know some people find the character really annoying, but I'm just happy that we actually have like respectable grapplers in Smash for the first time ever. Same with Bowser. I'm glad that these characters have their place in the metagame and aren't just completely irrelevant like they were in previous Smash games.
Big body meta.
How many grabs to up airs does it take for DK to get to the end of the 65? Let's find out. One, a two, a three. A three. Oh, this is so weird. I
Yo,
can't
chat,
predict
press
this.
some buttons, man, if you guys are loving this. I'm loving this, that's for sure. The Yeti is largely charged. He's here.
And
Can MKLeo do it? Can he do it?
Yeah. He's gonna suck. Alright, it looks like they're going to Smashville, and it looks like the same. Characters having an added platform. Empties up with a platform.
Yeah.
Just need to avoid those grabs.
Alright. 1-1 apiece.
It looks like Tweek's main method of adaptation has been to focus on being a little more aggressive with his movement. And instead of, say, notice how he's boxing a lot less? I think he's realized that trying to condition Leo into just reading his movement is still basically giving Leo the initiative, and he'd rather take things a little more into his own hands and focus on like dash attacks and pivot grabs. It allows him to basically focus on letting DK do what he does best, while not trying to play games with Leo to where if he guesses right, he gets very little, but if he guesses wrong, he loses a lot. He's just going to focus on almost exclusively doing things that have a high reward to them at this point. He's basically simplified a lot, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, considering the nature of these characters in this particular matchup. They're both relatively simple characters, so, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes the best strategy is pretty simple, and that Tweek seems to have realized that, which is why he is doing so much better in Game 2. Oh.
And that timber jab. Really great normals there in that kind of ranges. Yeah, that's the thing about this matchup in general, where both of these characters, a lot of what they can do is very simplified. It's either grab, down tilt, maybe a jab here and there, but both of them are looking for grabs, and Mennonite's looking for that dash attack. MKLeo is not going to get the KO just yet. DK is very heavy, so it's a little hard to get him off the side of that upper. Okay,
now this is a problem because...
Uh-oh. Okay, never mind. Leo gets out of it, but... Notice how Leo in retaliation is doing a little more aerial zoning with down airs. I think instead of focusing just on like dash attack and dash grab, he's basically, he knows that when Tweek is boxing with moves, he's basically always retreating, so if Leo can just get above that and then like nick him with something, then he'll either put Tweek off stage and be able to create these situations where he can basically ledge trap him into oblivion and chase him with sharked aerials. He's going to focus more on trying to catch him with the few attacks he can safely get around DK with, and then from there try and get openings. But going more aerial has been his response to Tweek's more nuanced ground game. Like that right there. And there's the hitbox. Thought that was gonna kill. Oh my goodness. I think Leo is trying a little too hard to extend his lead, which is why he immediately simplified his game plan again and stopped going a lot more aerial. And Tweek was just not having any of that, so he just decided to focus. If Leo's going to simplify his ground game, and Tweek has an answer to most of his ground game options that simultaneously kills him, it makes sense for Tweek to immediately in response simplify his game plan and just focus on cheesing him with grabs, because I mean he's DK, that's what you should be doing in this matchup. And then he just gets the particular movement read he needs. Dead. Oh, it begins, or not. What even was that sequence? That was... Alright. Let me look over that again. That was really weird. Alright, I'm pretty sure that was guaranteed. At this point, there's little reason for DK to do anything but just kind of mosey along under him and just spam up tilts, because what's Meta Knight gonna do? Challenge it? Nah. That was just a good movement read, and then he misses that. Wait, what was that hitbox? The one that killed him. Was that a down air or a back air? Wait, I think... Was that only single hit back air? Yeah, I think it was. That's a little odd. No, Zajiryu. Today is just an analysis stream. And Sasuke, the music I'm playing in the background is, we're listening to the Professor Layton and the Curious Village soundtrack, so it's something from that. Otherwise, I'm gonna go back to this. Let's put it back up.
MKLeo escaped with his life. It almost looked like he was gonna kill us all that. I didn't. Oh man, that went down there. That was beautiful. This is the counter punch though. I haven't heard the crowd be this loud since Civil War MKLeo Saga. That's wait, what? Oh, okay, I know you're saying Civil War was MKLeo Saga, but MKLeo is currently.
Yeah, the crowd was amazing for Civil War. Event of a lifetime. I'm gonna finish this drink and we'll continue. Shout out to DK's boxing options. DK might actually have the best boxing in the game. Giant range plus amazing tilts plus intangible. Scary character. Is that it? Yep, that's it. Now, what did he read in particular to lead to that moment? Oh, that was just a roll read. Simple stuff. Nothing fancy there. I don't think that was a read. That was just Tweek, right, saying to himself, I have little risk for going for this option in this burst situation, but likewise, if I'm right, they die. So, I don't think that's actually a read, and I'm not sure Leo should treat it as if it was. So if he's going to treat it as if it's not a read, which it probably wasn't, well, I guess it might have been. I'm not entirely sure because I'm not Tweek, but if that wasn't a read, then for Leo, what he should start doing is focus more on like having slightly delayed approaches in rolls, and instead of say doing a lot of things immediately. It's one thing Larry's really good at is he'll get in your burst range, then he'll act like he's about to approach, stop for just a moment, and then do it. And I feel like if Leo started doing that a little more, then that'd be a nice way to counteract Tweek when he's going for options that aren't necessarily reads, but are basically just treated option coverage that can potentially pass off as reads. Plus, even if it is a read and he's treating it as if it isn't, that's still a good strategy for the future, especially considering his lead in the set, although not in stock count right now. More conservative game plans that are based on opponents being a little more nervous and more likely to twitch tend to become more effective as sets go on. So even if it was or wasn't a read, it almost doesn't matter.
This is matches I've seen where the matches don't look close, but they're always close. Like anything can happen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a grab. Oh, he actually did not grab.
Anything. Okay. Give me a little extra damage here. Just gonna go for an air. Not gonna
Yeah, that's just a really good combo. And that's it, death. The combo itself was pretty cookie cutter. I think Tweek thought to himself, well, the smart thing to do is to not commit to anything, because the moment I commit to something, I represent to Leo something that he can react to. So if you put yourself in situations like that and you don't do anything, the onus is on the initiator to commit hard to an action that they could potentially get punished for. And Leo read that it was worth it, and so he did it. He got the back air. That's one of the reasons why, if I'm not getting air dodge reads on someone, I'm usually just hitting them raw with things, because the general and preferred counteraction to people representing, say, 50-50s that you could potentially ignore by doing nothing, you force the person doing it to take that risk. And it is a risk worth taking with the read, but it's not like, say, air dodge reads, or sometimes aren't even reads, sometimes they're literally just reactions. And reactions are always going to be easier than reads, so that's one of the reasons why the raw hits like that are significantly riskier and more likely to get punished if you were to, say, air dodge through it and then, like, up air or whatever.
Coming out, that was the only option to be able to get a KO. Going for that read with the back air, and he was able to get it this time. And here comes the start of the combo.
Okay. Goes for up smash. Oh, I hear that crowd. They want it. People want it.
I wonder what Tweek is going for right here.
Again, he goes for the grab.
Oh, okay, I get it. Alright, so here's the thing, guys. Let's go back to real quick. Right here, Tweek is not... I don't think Tweek is actually trying to hit MKLeo with this neutral air at all. Rather, he simply recognizes that Leo is in a relatively neutral position, but at the same time is likely to commit to an action. Usually, if someone is moving and they're not walking, that means that they've committed to something that they won't be able to then immediately, say, change their mind about. So, to some extent or another, they've decided that they're committing to some kind of action, whether it be like a foxtrot forward or what have you. From there, if you look at what Tweek is doing, assuming Leo's committed to some kind of action and is simultaneously not expecting it, which seems to be the case since he just got out of a roll. No, wait, he didn't just get out of a roll, but he landed, so he's probably about to do something instead of just sit there. But in this particular instance, Tweek is representing something that he knows Leo isn't going to immediately react to because it's kind of weird. And simultaneously, if he fast falls, by the time Leo's brain processes that Leo has done something that he can potentially punish, since Tweek is covering, just by virtue of falling with such a big move, he's covering all of the options that you could use to try and stifle it. Like, say Leo tried to down air him, he would just eat the late neutral air hitbox. So, it forces Leo to basically just wait for him to land, but since it's going to auto-cancel, that means Tweek can, like, roll or air dodge, bank on Leo trying to punish the landing normally, and then capitalize on it. Let's see if that happens.
Again, Eagle 3 grabs coming in.
It almost did, but Tweek messed up. But you see what happened there. You can do things like that, to where even though you're not actually forcing your opponent to do anything, by giving them something to react to that they can't actually react to, that is a bait in itself that is often very underused, and I think that's what Tweek was going for there. Similar equivalents, like say regarding my character, are with Captain Falcon you can do an immediate short hop into up air and then like say do something else out of it. Sometimes I'll do it even when I'm not trying to hit them so that I can basically do what Tweek just did right there. And it's even better for Falcon since, well, fast. Anyway, Leo just decides to ignore that, waits out the dash grab based on what I mentioned earlier about him delaying his approaches, And he gets the dash attack into... we'll see.
Out from Tweek, but he's going for those rollers.
That was a good idea, and that might have actually been able to secure a kill. But Tweek's DI was perfect.
Approach. Pivot grabs. Oh, here it comes. One.
Oh. We need double back here.
Oh, down tilt.
Oh, that was
Okay,
a good exchange.
Quick time. Get a counter with that jab. No, no.
Oh.
3, 4, neutral air. Oh my
Oh, he's not
goodness.
doing it. Oh, yeah.
He did not go for the up B.
Not at all.
He felt like it was
Oh,
risky,
the
but this
problem.
might. Is this it? No, not yet.
Oh, he's coming back.
Super Rage DK.
Yes.
Might just be one grab, actually. Oh.
Ooh, okay. Oh, my gosh.
Oh no.
Next back here.
That next... oh my god. That next grab might have done it.
Oh, he got him.
Here's what's going to be a kill. That's
Yeah, that's just Tweek playing safe there and abusing the fact that DK's grab is so big that even if he grabs him in that situation, or rather, even if Leo rolls behind him, if he goes to the ledge as well, DK's massive hands are just going to grab you anyway and not even care. It's kind of silly, but it is what it is. Tweek took advantage of it, as he should, and he got the grab into kill.
Goodness gracious, man. I can't handle this. Again, you saw how early?
Yes.
Like, yes. I'm actually bad, buddy.
Game 5.
If somebody's winning, they're actually losing. In this set, if someone's winning, they're actually losing.
Are they running it back? Oh, we're going to County City.
Oh my god.
Oh, baby. This is the place
Even lower ceiling?
Yes.
where it gets lit.
Okay, what are we having here? Oh, no.
Goodness,
Oh,
Tweek.
no.
Tweek is very confident in Game 5 situations. He's like,
Yep.
alright, those matches didn't matter.
Yeah. And are we going to see dash? No. This is all the way back to side stage.
Oh,
Good
there's
turn around.
Good read.
Oh,
Boy! Yeah, that was super risky. I'm surprised MKLeo didn't die for that, honestly. He had the right idea, but his execution was slightly off. If he had just moved a little forward, that would have been death. Rip.
It's one of the few things that DK can do that most characters can't, because Carlos doesn't actually count to a grab. Towards the grab normally you get afterwards.
MKLeo's playing very scared right now. Oh. Oh, one. He better do a whole lot with this grab.
Oh, no.
Oh, clean, clean.
He's going up. He's going up.
It's not going to take him off the top just yet, but
Not
he's going
yet.
to do a lot of damage waiting for that air dodge.
I'm trying to get a reset. That's
Oh,
it.
that's probably it.
And that's a kill.
Notice how Tweek has kept a simplified ground game and is still focused for the most part on when he is throwing out hitboxes. He's doing it with backwards perfect pivots so that Leo won't really be able to punish him in place. It's basically just a way for him to control space that doesn't really commit to anything. It doesn't really give him anything either, but it just forces Leo to respect space, and it gives Tweek in turn enough space to be able to potentially react to burst options by Leo, and at the same time punish them with either pivot grabs, like really just pivot grabs, honestly, shield grabs, or just thinking that Leo's just going to wait it out and then just dash attack him instead. And there, well, you can't actually ding-dong him with this for sense, but you can get the just regular up throw, and it works. Or not regular up throw, but cargo up throw from the ground.
One more stock, and this man is in grand finals. Now, what did he tell you, Keitaro? Huh? Now, what did Tweek tell you he was going to do, Keitaro?
I don't remember.
What did he tell you he was going to do, Keitaro?
I don't remember.
Do I need to remind you?
Alright, it's one grab away. It's literally one grab. Okay, ladies, get in there.
And that's it. As close of a set that was,